Well, today we're going to get at the valve adjustment. This is the valve cover. It's got two 8mm bolts to hold it on, the intake, and the exhaust. To get at it, you have to take the tank off, which is really simple. It's got 4 connections. Got an electrical over here, and I think that's the evap canister. The main fuel line, which you just push 2 buttons on it, and the main electrical, which is a little harder because you got to push this 1 button on the back side. This one was a little more difficult, and I'm not sure what that's for, but by taking the 2 bolts out of the tank and lifting the back end up and putting it on a 2x4, you can reach under there with both hands and do that. Then I removed this one that goes right there, just to get it out of the way for getting at that valve cover. The oil change was real simple. This doesn't have a bottom drain plug. It's got a side drain plug, which if you take that out, it runs all over inside your bash plate. And so if you use this is called a forma funnel, and that runs it out. Then after I drained that, I took out these 2 8mm and took the screen out to clean it. But this is the cleanest engine I've ever seen at 300 miles. It had almost no metal shavings in it. They also say you can take this front one out and finish getting the last little bit out, but there wasn't even a ½ ounce of oil in there. That isn't even worth the effort. On this side, I'm waiting for my oil to come in tomorrow, so I didn't put the oil filter in. But again, the forma gasket worked on the oil filter, and I want to soak the new filter before I put it in. That's why I haven't put that back together yet, so I'm waiting for my oil to get here. But that was very straightforward, very easy to do. So now we'll take those 8mm bolts off and check the valve adjustment at about 365 miles. I'm a little bit over my 300 because I was on a little trip yesterday. And there's the lock nut and the center adjuster. We'll remove the spark plug so that it'll spin up easier to top dead center. And I'm using the NGK iridium spark plug because the Bosch ones have been reportedly giving a lot of trouble. Now we have to remove this side plate so that we can spin the engine with a wrench. There's been a lot of videos online on how to adjust the valves and change the oil, but most of them are made in India. The ones that do speak English, it's hard to understand, and most of the videos are actually done in their native language. So we'll do this little American version here. There is a little bit of oil in that area, and it is sealed away from that external cover plate with double O-rings, or no, I guess just one O-ring. This O-ring right here. There's nothing around the outside edge. We'll wipe up the oil, and then we have to remove this plug so that we can see the timing mark. That should be a 17. Yep, that's a 17. There is a little copper gasket right here. The engine nut is an 18 millimeter, and unlike all the other motorcycles that I know of in the world, this recommends spinning it clockwise rather than counterclockwise. And we think it's because the nut actually disengages. It's a standard right-hand thread pattern if you go the other way, and they don't want you to disengage it. So that's why we'll be using a right-hand pattern and looking for the mark in here. There's the T and the line, and it lines up with this arrow, that arrow right there. Like all four-stroke engines, this could be on the compression stroke, which we want, or the exhaust stroke. So we'll have to check how loose the valves are and rotate it 360 more degrees if it's not in the right place. That valve feels really tight, and so does the front one. So I would say that we're on the wrong one. We'll rotate it again. Well, I didn't order a special tool for this bike because I have so many of them, and none of them fit down in this space. So we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. These valves are really tight. The intake was about 2 thousandths. I couldn't get a 3 under it. They should be 3 to 4. I want them at 4. A noisy valve is a happy valve. There's a 4 with a nice drag. Let's see if we can maintain that and tighten the nut. Well, this has proved to be quite difficult without better tools. That nut is so close to the casting. They should have centered that hole better or made it larger. Okay, that time we got it. Okay, we've got it now. A nice tight 4. It slides with drag. We're going to call that perfect. And we'll put a 5 under it as a go, no-go. And a 5 will not go under it. And let me get it stuck. There we go. Okay, the intake is perfect. Now we'll work on the exhaust. The exhaust should be 9 to 10 thousandths. Here's a 10. And it won't go under. A little tight, although it might be within specs with a 9. Let's try a 9 and see. It's a very tight 9. We're going to open that up to 10, since the exhaust valve is the one that usually closes up the most. Well, I already got tired of fighting the valve adjustment on this bike, so I made a tool. I took a 10mm socket and drilled out the back round, welded it onto a rod, drilled a hole in that, and from my old CT90 110 valve adjustment tool, took the center out of it, and now we've got a adjustment tool for the Himalayan. Okay, I think that'll work. That's a 9. Nice and loose. There's the 10. Here's an 11. Can't get it under. So that's good. Got it. Okay, let's button this up. We've got that job done. Now we're just waiting for our oil to come in tomorrow. We'll fill it with semi-synthetic 1550 as recommended in the manual for one more fill, and then at 1200 we will probably put full synthetic in it, although I may go one more fill with a semi just so I can use it up. Here, that one says EXT for exhaust. Intake. How about that? Don't know why it makes a difference. They look identical, but we'll put them back the way they came out. And don't forget to put your plug back in where you lined up the timing marks. Well, let's put in this hose that we only took off to get those valve covers off. They had nothing to do with the gas tank. Let's see if we can get that back on again. Yeah, we got that thing back on. It was a lot easier to just take off this bolt right here, take this one out, loosen that one, and the coil and everything drops out of the way, and then you could push it through and put the hose back on again. That's the easiest way to do that. Okay, let's put the spark plug back. Fortunately, everything on this is easy to get at once you take the fuel tank off. And it's a good thing because you got to take a lot of stuff off to get at it. Let's see if we can put the extension cord on the temperature sensor. Which is right down here. I think there's a little grommet holding it in. Okay, got that all installed. This little thing here wasn't put on the bike properly at the factory, so I put that in the right place. Move this over to here, and the wires along there, under there. Got to cut off the plastic ties yet. Up under here. And the sensor is up behind the headlight. Should be out of the sun and in free-flowing air. So I will get probably the closest reading I'll ever be able to get on this. We'll see how accurate it is. A lot of the guys pull it up out of that spot down here and mount it in the document box. But that's still in pretty warm air from underneath the engine compartment, and it's not in free air because with the cover over top of it, it's in dead airspace. So they're not getting real accurate readings yet. I think mine will be better. We'll see. Well, let's see what problems we run into reinstalling the tank. I think I'm all ready to go and put the oil in tomorrow. Put my document cover lid back on. By the way, be sure and have the tank almost empty when you do this. Okay. The first rubber hose goes right there, and our other rubber hose on the other side will go there. This is the plug that goes down to the blue plug to match the one on the bike. Okay, there is the second hose from the right side of the bike with a clamp on it. This other one doesn't have a clamp. And that just snapped into place. All we got left to do is put the two bolts in, and the tank will be all back on again. All we got left is to hook up the fuel pump, the electric side, and the hose side. Here's a shout out to a guy that's got a business that is giving away free Himalayan decals. And I will reference his website in the comments below.